Let's step right into the soot-stained corridors of the sovereign absurd to unpack a really dark atmospheric explainer today. We're going to be diving into a brilliant literary critique of existentialist philosophy, totally disguised as a grim Gothic fable. Let's get right into it.
The rot of constant change. Just let that phrase hang there for a second. That is the foundational fear driving the antagonist of our story. See, this isn't your standard run-of-the-mill deal with the devil situation. It's a gripping, cautionary tale about the absolute terror of the unknown, the fear of change, and a really tragic descent into the suffocating stasis of resentment.
And that brings us to our tragic antagonist, the Faustbuch Übermensch. Now, he's not some demon from the underworld. Instead, he's described as a shadow creature, an actual dark refraction of human potential itself. Born from the residual echoes of the dragon deer and the rotting malice of Nidhogg, he basically represents what happens when our own ambition turns completely inward and just rots. It's kind of like a mythological autoimmune disease, where the exact forces meant to propel you forward suddenly attack your own spirit. We're going to trace this creature's tragic descent across 4 specific stages. First, he starts out as a shadow creature paralyzed by desire. Then, through an act of violence, he becomes the sentinel of resentment. Next, he establishes complete dominion as a corrupted architect. And finally, he collapses into the spirit of gravity, becoming this paralyzing force of existential dread. Let's see exactly how this unfolds through 2 incredible parables.
Act 1. The Shattered Reflection.
So picture this. Our first parable starts in the ink-drenched theater of the shadow cabinet. Our shadow creature is standing completely alone in front of a massive silver-backed mirror, and inside that reflection, he watches the hero, Sigurd, dancing. But Sigurd isn't just doing a normal dance, he's literally moving with the fluid, shimmering golden light of the spirit of becoming. It's a blinding, vibrant display of infinite life, all contained right there behind the boundary of the glass.
Watching this beautiful display, the shadow creature gets hit with a deep sickness of the will. The text calls this the tragedy of the unowned. He desperately wants to hoard the infinite within the finite. He doesn't want to learn how to join the dance, you see. He wants to possess it entirely. It's literally the urge to catch lightning in a bottle. Driven entirely by this sickness, he makes a violent move. He leaps straight through the glass. He shatters the boundary between reflection and reality, forcing his way into the physical world to manifest as a dark rival. He literally breaks reality just to steal the light.
But here's the ultimate tragedy. In capturing the light, he kills it. He takes a seat on a lonely throne amidst all that shattered glass, practically patting himself on the back. He actually calls his violence an intellectual salvage mission. He boasts that he successfully turned the fluid gold of stories back into the static lead of mortality. So, congratulations, right? You just completely extinguished the universe's light.
And that right there is the turning point. By destroying the dance, he officially transforms into the sentinel of resentment. He's now a full-time warden of Stasis. His entire existence becomes defined by this desperate, obsessive need to arrest any new growth or vibrant energy that might threaten his static little order.
Act 2. Architect of the Frozen Pulse.
Notice the drastic visual and atmospheric shift here. That fluid, golden light of the mirror, it's completely gone. In its place, the Faustbuch Übermensch has built a new dominion made entirely of suffocating, leaden shadows. Looking down from his throne, he sees any hero's celebration of life and dismisses it as just a childish sickness. To him, vibrant life is nothing but a chaotic threat to his perfect, silent stillness. He wants to protect the world from what he calls the rot of constant change.
To keep this dark kingdom perfectly still, the corrupted architect uses what the text calls the breath of the void. Imagine a freezing, ionized gale sweeping down those soot-stained corridors. This wind is specifically designed to siphon away the warmth of human ambition. It literally freezes the hero's atoms in place, demanding eternal, undisturbed obedience to this new architecture of stasis.
This is where the text drops its sharpest existential critique. Because the architect doesn't look like a classic villain. No, he puts on the mask of the pale redeemer. He goes around whispering the Pharisees' paradox to weary travelers, tricking them into thinking that the heavy, suffocating weight of past values is actually protective armor. He convinces people that a prison is actually a sanctuary. He builds a gilded cage of absolute safety.
Symbolism. Lead versus light.
Let's pause and clinically dissect the heavy philosophical core of this tragedy, because the symbols here are incredibly precise. The silver-backed mirror represents the fragile boundary between mere reflection and actual lived reality. The leaden boxes, which we'll look at in just a second, are the ultimate denial of human potential. And the gilded cage? That perfectly shows how dead static values masquerade as safety to trap the human spirit.
This contrast is truly the heart of the entire explainer. On one side, you have the spirit of becoming, characterized by infinite, fluid, shimmering golden light. It's the very essence of vibrant human potential. On the exact opposite side, you have the architect's leaden worldview, characterized by finite, static, suffocating leaden shadows. It is the pure embodiment of the stasis of resentment.
Remember the architect trying to power his throne? He attempted to hoard the brilliance of the stars inside leaden boxes. This is literally the ultimate denial of human potential. Think about it. Light, by its very nature, needs to shift, move, and shine. But because he tried to trap it inside heavy lead, his entire kingdom just starts collapsing into spiritual entropy.
The tragic irony here is absolute. By trying to lock everything down and control it, he devolves into the literal spirit of gravity. His obsessive need for control actually chained his own soul to the mud of the herd. Why? Because at the end of the day, he was absolutely terrified of the very void he claimed to have mastered. Epilogue: The Dionysian Rupture. With the world completely trapped in the architect's leaden shadows, we are forced to ask a massive question. How can a hero actually overcome the suffocating mud of the herd? How do you escape the stasis of resentment when the walls around you are built out of the heavy weight of the past?
Well, the text doesn't leave us hanging. It gives us a precise, active philosophy of resistance. To break free from this architecture of stasis, you have to do three things. First, execute a bold, absolute refusal to remain still. Second, actively shatter those leaden philosophies demanding your obedience. And third, reach right into the ruins and reclaim the shimmering light of your potential.
And that sequence brilliantly illustrates the ultimate philosophical triumph of the text, the Dionysian rupture. This rupture is the realization that you simply cannot hoard the infinite. You cannot lock light inside a leaden box. To truly live, you have to move with it. You must fully embrace the spirit of becoming.
So, what should you take away from this dark existential lesson? It leaves us with a stark, highly personal choice. You have to look at your own life and ask, will you surrender your potential to the heavy, supposedly safe, leaden boxes of stasis? Or will you risk the void, break the glass, refuse to remain still, and dance with the shimmering light? The choice is entirely yours.